On January 3, 2024, under the order of Judge Loretta Preska, the Southern District of New York began unsealing documents related to the defamation suit filed by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell. The public anticipated a Rosetta Stone, a definitive client list that would dismantle global hierarchies. This expectation, however, was a fundamental misunderstanding of the legal mechanism at play. What was released was not a neatly organized ledger of guilt, but rather a chaotic, fragmented archive of summary judgment motions, deposition excerpts, and emails dating back to 2015. To understand the Epstein saga, one must look past the headlines and analyze the forensic architecture of these documents. We are not looking at a mere list of names. We are looking at the radiocarbon dating of a systemic failure of justice, intelligence, and financial oversight. The unsealed documents confirm that Jeffrey Epstein did not operate in a vacuum. He was a node in a complex network, maintained not just by silence, but by active legal and financial complicity.
The context of these files is crucial. They stem from a civil defamation suit settled in 2017, not a criminal trafficking trial. This distinction dictates the nature of the data. In a criminal trial, evidence is strictly curated for relevance to a specific statute. In civil discovery, however, the net is cast exponentially wider to establish credibility, character, and association. This is why the files contain names of individuals who are not accused of any crime, witnesses, journalists, and peripheral associates, alongside those implicated in grave misconduct. The Doe pseudonyms, specifically Doe 36 and Doe 44, became the battleground. The unsealing process involved a rigorous judicial review to balance privacy rights against the public interest. What matters here is not merely who is mentioned, but the context of the mention. A name in a flight log proves transit. A name in a deposition proves involvement. We must distinguish between the two with surgical precision.
To interpret the 2024 releases, we must regress to the original sin of the Epstein saga, the 2007-2008 Non-Prosecution Agreement, or NPA, brokered by then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta. This document is a legal anomaly, described by federal judges later as constitutionally defective. The NPA granted immunity not only to Epstein, but unprecedentedly to any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, known or unknown. This clause effectively created a legal black hole, a zone of impunity that shielded associates for over a decade. The unsealed files reveal the desperate legal maneuvering used to maintain this shield. Maxwell's defense team repeatedly cited the 2008 NPA as a blanket protection against the civil suit, arguing that the federal immunity negotiated in Florida should nullify civil inquiries in New York. This legal strategy suggests a terrified reliance on a deal that was never meant to see the light of day.
We must categorize the evidence into three distinct tiers: the flight logs, the black book, and the depositions. These are often conflated but represent vastly different levels of complicity. The flight logs of the Lolita Express, Boeing 727, tail number N908JE, provide hard data on physical proximity. We see repeat passengers like Bill Clinton, who flew on Epstein's aircraft at least 26 times between 2001 and 2003, and Prince Andrew. The unsealed documents corroborate Giuffre's testimony regarding specific dates of travel that align with these logs. However, the presence on a plane, while ethically questionable given Epstein's 2008 conviction, is not proof of criminal participation in itself. The unsealed depositions move us from proximity to alleged activity. For instance, the testimony regarding Johanna Sealberg mentions David Copperfield questioning her if she was aware that girls were getting paid to find other girls. This moves the needle from passive association to active awareness of the recruitment pyramid scheme.
The financial engine of this enterprise remains the most underanalyzed aspect of the files. The documents repeatedly reference Leslie Wexner, the retail billionaire behind Victoria's Secret and The Limited. Epstein held an inexplicable power of attorney over Wexner's vast fortune for nearly 2 decades, influencing decisions on assets ranging from real estate to philanthropy. The unsealed files contain depositions questioning the legitimacy of Epstein's money management. Epstein, a college dropout who taught math briefly at the Dalton School, somehow maneuvered into complete control of a billionaire's trust. The skepticism in the legal questioning points to a theory that Epstein was not a financial genius, but a financial utility, a mechanism for moving money that needed to be moved,
potentially for tax avoidance or more opaque purposes. The transference of the largest private residence in Manhattan from Wexner to Epstein for $0 is a transaction that defies standard economic logic. Epstein's infiltration of the scientific elite was strategic and predatory. The unsealed documents highlight his obsession with transhumanism and eugenics-adjacent philosophies. He didn't just donate to Harvard and MIT, he bought credibility. The mention of Marvin Minsky, the father of artificial intelligence, Epstein cultivated these relationships to launder his reputation. By surrounding himself with Nobel laureates and theoretical physicists, he created a halo effect that dazzled regulators and law enforcement. He was positioning himself not as a pimp, but as a Medici-style patron of the sciences. The documents suggest he used these connections to validate his own intelligence, creating a social armor that made him too big to investigate in polite society.
We must address the intelligence hypothesis. Alexander Acosta, during his confirmation hearings for Labor Secretary, allegedly stated that he was told to back off the Epstein case because Epstein belonged to intelligence. While the unsealed files do not contain a smoking gun document labeled CIA contract, the pattern of life revealed is consistent with an asset or a cutout. The lack of a discernible source for his initial wealth, the passports found in his safe with varying names, and the leniency to the 2008 deal all bear the hallmarks of state-sponsored protection. The concept of compromat, compromising material used for blackmail, is central here. The installation of hidden cameras in every room of his properties, as alluded to in witness testimonies, suggests an operation designed to capture powerful individuals in compromising acts. Epstein was not merely running a trafficking ring, he was likely running an archival project of elite deviants. The files released in the Giuffre case are inextricably linked to the separate settlements paid by JPMorgan Chase, $290 million, and Deutsche Bank, $75 million. The legal discovery in those cases proved that the banks knowingly facilitated Epstein's trafficking operation. They retained him as a client despite hundreds of suspicious activity reports, or SARs, flagged by their own compliance officers. The unsealed documents show that Epstein was withdrawing massive sums of cash, $40,000 to $80,000 a month, specifically to pay off victims and recruiters. The banking institutions viewed the reputational risk as manageable compared to the profits generated by Epstein's network. This indicates that the compliance failures were not errors of omission, but errors of commission. High-level executives, including Jess Staley, exchanged thousands of emails with Epstein that blurred the lines between professional banking and personal friendship, utilizing code words like Snow White.
Prince Andrew's involvement is perhaps the most high-profile element of the unsealed tranches. The documents reinforce the allegations that led to his stripping of royal titles. Johanna Schoberg's deposition details an incident involving a puppet at Epstein's New York mansion, placing the prince physically in the room with the accusers. While Andrew settled his own civil case with Giuffre for an undisclosed sum, estimated at £12 million, without admitting liability, the consistency of the testimonies in the unsealed files erodes his "I don't recall" defense. The documents paint a picture of a man who felt protected by his status, operating with the same impunity as Epstein himself. The presence of royalty in these files serves as the ultimate indictment of the class system that Epstein exploited. It proves that the social contract was suspended for those within his orbit.
Ultimately, the Epstein files are a misnomer. They should be called the Maxwell files, as they are the product of her desperate attempt to conceal the truth. But more accurately, they are the system files. They document how a network of enablers, lawyers, bankers, academics, and politicians conspired to commodify human beings. The unsealing is not the end of the story. It is a late-stage autopsy of a corruption that metastasized for 30 years. While Epstein is gagged and Maxwell is incarcerated, the structural integrity of the world they built remains largely intact. The banks paid fines, the politicians issued denials, and the institutions issued apologies. But the systemic vulnerability that allowed a predator to operate as a power broker has not been patched. The analysis of these documents reveals that the true crime was not just the abuse of minors, but the monetization of that abuse by the global elite.